Hey there, friends of the J. Harmon Home Team. Brett Garner here with this week's edition of Coffee Talk, episode number 73. It's amazing that we have gotten to this number of episodes so far, and our guest today is Mr. John Hinkle, the pastor of First Presbyterian Church here in downtown Murfreesboro. John is a dear friend of mine. He is also my Rotary Club president.
Yep.
Let's see, we've really connected over
the
past almost year.
Yep.
And I'm glad he's our guest today on Coffee Talk.
I'm excited about it.
You're not a native of Murfreesboro, correct?
I'm not. In fact, I was kind of in reflecting back so we've been here about 11 and a half years, and I was the reason I'm smiling is because my third week in Murfreesboro, Bart Walker, who is the president of WGNS and voice of Around Town, asked me to be on his radio show. This is my third week in town. And so this is when they were at City Cafe on Wednesdays, I think. And so, and Bart always says that every time I get on the show, he says they're just going to call in and we're going to be inundated with phone calls. We only had one phone call that morning, and the guy asked Bart, "What does this guy know about Murfreesboro? He's only been here for 3 weeks." And he's right. I didn't know anything about Murfreesboro. Already fallen in love with the community. I just didn't know why I was falling in love. And after 11 and a half years, I know now.
I mean, we're an easy place to fall in love with.
It's great.
I think. I'm a little biased.
Absolutely. I am too.
I've been a Murfreesboro resident 21 years, born and raised in Smyrna. But I do love where we are, and it's a great place. I mean, downtown is iconic.
Absolutely. Well, my family came from suburbia Atlanta. And when my wife and I were kind of reflecting on our lives together with our son and my ministry, we kind of asked the question of, well, what do we want in this next chapter? We were getting worn out by suburbia. We didn't realize that, but we really were. And what we said is that we wanted a community that had a core and an identity. And when you are on the corner of College and Spring, where we are located at First Presbyterian Church, you just look out my window and you see the square, and it's a community with a core and an identity.
It feels good.
Absolutely.
I think anybody can come here and it feels like home almost instantly. The people, at least, make it pretty welcoming the majority of the time.
Absolutely.
Now, where are you originally from, though? You're not from suburbia Atlanta, born
and
raised,
so
right?
originally I was born and raised in Dalton, Georgia. Carpet capital of the world.
Carpet, that's right. Mohawk.
Well, for us, Shaw.
Shaw, okay. Sure.
Right, yeah.
Everywhere you see on both sides of the interstate.
Absolutely, yeah. Dalton, and in some ways, Dalton and Murfreesboro they have similar things in common. I mean, again, it's this kind of core and identity, a welcoming community, and so I loved growing up in Dalton. And it was a community isolated from the world. And what I mean by that is it wasn't a bedroom community to Atlanta. It wasn't a bedroom community to Chattanooga, even though it's close. And I argue that we're really not a bedroom community to Nashville. We never go to Nashville.
Sure, you don't have to.
We don't have to. I thought we would go to Nashville every weekend. Like we would have to go, and we never go.
You got the Arts Center right down the street.
Right.
I mean, you're a downtown dweller, too.
So. We are, we live just a block from the boulevard, so they know us by name.
Yeah, they frequent there.
Just
about every time I'm there, you're there.
That's right. Yeah. We have our favorite waitress, but we love it. I love the fact that where we live, I walk over to, the Murphy and go see a basketball game and walk home and there's something. So we just moved downtown about a year ago. We're celebrating our 1 year anniversary coming up.
Happy home anniversary.
Thank you very much. I laugh because we lived on Thompson Lane. And the other day I had to go by and see a neighbor, and I told Leela it felt like I was going to Laverne. It just felt so far away. But that's beside the point.
That's the growing pains of Murfreesboro.
That's right. It just felt like, oh my gosh, this is so far away. But it isn't. And my joke is, I know we are complaining about our traffic and more people, but I always tell people, if you think it's bad, go to Atlanta for about a day and come back, you realize we're nowhere near.
We're nowhere near that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're in pretty good shape, relatively.
Yes.
And this morning we're having our coffee from the Brass Horn, newest coffee shop in business to the downtown Murfreesboro area. Pretty good cup of joe. So
Not bad. Yeah.
Go pay them a visit and make sure you.
And you said they're right by the Hammery?
They're right by the Hammery, right across the street. Today was my first visit, and I'm impressed with the coffee.
Yeah, it's good. Very good. And you brought me a muffin too, and that was good.
And I'm critical of coffee. Very.
He's highly critical.
But now, you didn't originally intend to go into the ministry either, did you?
No. And I
have a lot of
I have a lot of fraternity brothers who still kind of look at me in odd ways. So I attended and graduated from Presbyterian College, which is in Clinton, South Carolina. And Presbyterian's a small liberal arts college, but in South Carolina, it's known for producing some of the leaders of South Carolina, and so it was a great place for me. I have dyslexia, and so all my family went to Auburn, but I really needed a smaller classroom setting, where the professor actually knew my name and it wasn't a number. Having said all that, my intention really was to get into politics after I graduated from Presbyterian College. And
tough gig.
Was already volunteering. Well, I was already on staff for some people. When you say you're on staff, meaning they're not paying you anything. So I did a lot
volunteer work.
I did a lot of volunteer work for some politicians in Georgia, mainly in the Northwest Georgia area where I grew up. But that was my intention. In fact, I was doing a graduate internship on Capitol Hill when I kind of realized that's not what I needed to be doing, even though I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I realized that God had other plans for me.
Passions for two topics you're not supposed to talk about.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll talk about sex with anyone. No, I'm kidding.
Now, how long have you been? How long ago was that?
So I just celebrated my my 25th anniversary of my ordination this summer. I think that's right. I'm terrible at math. Yeah, this summer. No, yeah. Now I'm at 26. 26 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So my first church was in Eastern North Carolina, where everybody was a Presbyterian, even if they were Baptists. I served a small Scottish enclave that they came over from the. In fact, that right above Brett's head is Antioch Presbyterian Church. Their first worship service was 1754. And what's neat, you can't see it, but their headstones and gravestones to the left of that, and on those stones they would have born in the Isle of Skye, born in Edinburgh, born in Glasgow, and they just came in and settled that area. And then we went to Atlanta to do new church development, 8.5 years, and like I said, we've been here about 11.5 years. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, where is the Mecca of the Presbyterian Church?
Well, for Southern Presbyterians, it's Montreat, North Carolina. That's
okay.
Montreat is right outside of Asheville, North Carolina, and for old Southern Presbyterians, that's the Mecca, and that's where Billy and Ruth Graham lived. Billy may have been a good Baptist, but Ruth was a diehard Presbyterian, and her father was a devout Presbyterian and was a missionary to China. And Ruth never left the Presbyterian Church.
Okay.
And told Billy she was never leaving the Presbyterian Church. So, but that's where my parents live, is in Montreat.
Okay.
So
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. When y'all are in Asheville, y'all need to stop by.
We do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love Asheville.
Yeah.
Now, the downtown churches, there's quite a few of them.
Right.
And they're landmarks of the community. But y'all work together pretty regularly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We have because the reality is, especially probably right after First Methodist left the downtown area, I think all the downtown churches were kind of wrestling with that and struggling with that. And then if you know anything about kind of the church migration around the university, there were several churches that moved out, Bel Air, St. Mark's, and so I think those were some of the questions that not only was First Presbyterian Church wrestling with, but it was also, St. Paul's, First Baptist.
Yeah.
What do we do? Do we stay downtown? And so that really was, Brett, kind of one of the first things I had to deal with when I got here, because I think for years, again, I think the point of reference was when First Methodist moved on Thompson Lane. Ever since then, they were wrestling with it. And I think part of it created kind of a stagnant movement, which means they didn't move at all. If you don't know where you're going to be, you don't know how you're going to look at life missionally. And so one of the first questions that I asked the leadership of our church is, are we going to remain downtown? And so we actually did kind of a long-range plan and survey, and we asked the congregation, basically, if the church made the decision to move, would you move? And I would say about 95% of the congregation said we would move. But we asked the follow-up question, which is the more important one.
Right.
Do you want to move? And 99% said no. We want to be downtown. Well, and you and I were talking about, part of it's an unwritten motto, but it's my motto, is where the square goes, this church goes.
Yeah.
And so we as a church, made the decision that we're going to pour ourselves into activities in the square, pushing that to say, you need to shop downtown.
Right.
You need to go to Binks.
Hey, you need second place in the Habitat for Humanity
First Pres
soup cook-off.
I won't say it wasn't rigged, but no.
But Megan, Randy.
No, not saying that. No. It was great. But that's to your point. Every Saturday in the summer, I go to the square.
Yeah.
Anytime there's an activity, we go to the square.
There.
Wine around the square, we go. I know this. I think you and I have even talked about this. I'll go to. I hope I don't get anybody in trouble. I'll go to Binks at the mall. Know exactly what I want. I'll come here, and if it's not here, I make them
bring it
to downtown.
Bring it over.
I get my shirts starched at Big B's. We love Sean and Chrissy at the Alley.
Yes.
We just try to make every effort to be downtown, and for our church to pour ourselves in the downtown area.
Yeah, I mean, the only way that downtowns stay thriving is if the churches and the businesses survive.
Correct.
Because the only other thing here are law offices.
Right.
And a few barbershops.
And we were I did a year internship when I was in seminary. Leila and I just got married, and we were in Covington, Georgia. Covington's on I-20, just east of Atlanta.
Okay.
And Covington had a thriving square. They still had a men's store, independent men's store. They had an independent bookstore. They had an independent drugstore. But it's all gone.
Right.
And it's all law offices now.
Yeah.
In fact, we visited maybe about 2 years ago, and it was sad because I remember you didn't do anything but on the square. They even had an independent grocery store.
Hey, I think that the new justice facility, that's the greatest thing that could have happened to the square for us.
Right.
Was them relocating. I mean,
sure.
Those law offices aren't going anywhere until there's space for them to move closer to that building. But
right.
When that happens, it's going to open up more property for development as a small business residents even. I mean, you do have a few residences around the square now.
Right,
so
right.
The dynamic there will change, which I'm glad that many of the churches decided to remain. I mean, space is an issue.
Space is an issue.
You can't do anything out. You have to go up. And parking's always a problem.
Parking's an issue. I tell the mayor that when I see him that. I tell the member of our church who's on the city council that. And they're aware of that. We want to be good partners with the city of Murfreesboro and with the county, because you're right.
It's
with
right
the
there.
judicial center right there. And so that's what we always say. We're looking to partner with everybody who's in the downtown area. And so I think we've taken really good strides, and not just us, but all the downtown churches.
Everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you mentioned your wife, Layla. So she's a school teacher, right?
She is. She's at Las Casas.
Okay.
And she's the smarter of the two. And
good man.
She's also a doctor, and so, but she's definitely
Now, what does she teach?
She teaches enclosed language arts. I mean, that's all she teaches, 5th grade language arts.
Wow.
Yeah. So she, but she has a passion to seeing young people expand their horizons. I mean, that's really her passion. And I love that because that's not, as someone who was in special education most of his time in elementary school, most teachers are worried about grades. She's not worried about grades.
Is that why she married you?
Well, that's why she originally. Originally why she got into special education.
Oh, okay.
She special education, and I think she does have a passion for students that struggle. Because and I can't tell you how many times I've been used as an example. Physically,
Sure.
like they bring me down. She was at Walter Hill. She was at, and this is my husband. He has dyslexia, and if he can do it, you can do it. Poster child of dyslexia. Yeah, look at him. He can read, you can read, stuff like that.
But being a pastor's wife is daunting, just like being a politician's wife.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
But she's always had a great attitude about it. I remember the first when we met with the search committee in North Carolina, they asked her how involved she would be in the church, and her answer was, I would be just as involved as if I had not married John, meaning that my relationship to the church is not tied to the fact my husband's the minister, but it is in the fact that this is what I feel God calling me to do, and she's always held up to that, I think that's allowed her to live a life that's not burdened that a lot of pastor spouses feel. It's like, I have to be perfect. She doesn't feel like she has to be perfect. And not to brag about First Presbyterian Church, but to brag, this church has been tremendous in giving her time and space. No one, if we have some special night and Leela for some reason is not here, no one will ever ask me where Leela is. If they do, it's out of concern that she's not sick or, but it's not to guilt her into doing anything. And so I've always been grateful about that.
Now, y'all have one son,
Trip.
right?
We have one son, Trip. Trip is a proud graduate of Central Magnet.
Awesome.
He's the first full graduating class, so he started his freshman year and graduated from there, and he is now a PhD candidate at Auburn University.
Another Auburn.
War Eagle.
Man.
Yeah.
Gosh, I won't get into that.
Yeah.
Now, no other children, though, right?
No other children.
Other than your dog.
He's got our Trips are a miracle, and so because we only had one child, then we started. I grew up with English Springers, and that's what we have, and so we were heavily involved in the English Springer Rescue of America, which is the National English Springer Rescue. And we started out as Freedom Train drivers. So you got a dog, transport them from Minnesota to Florida, and we would do 100 miles, and then someone would take the dog and take it 100 miles, and then we were an overnight stay, Saturday night stay, and then we started fostering. And we've had as many as 5 dogs in our house, which is, I don't recommend it. So then
now I've met your dogs you have currently, and they're great.
I love them. I love Springers, but they are high energy. And then, so the Springers we have now are 2 failed rescues, meaning that we rescued them, we were fostering them, and I just couldn't give them up. And so we've stopped. We still support them financially. We just can't have. I just can't. It's crazy to have 3 dogs. It's crazy to have 3 Springers.
Yes. I've been to your home, and the man loves them so much he's commissioned portraits of them.
We have commissioned portraits. They're great.
They are great.
My dad thinks we've lost our mind.
But you're also active with the Beasley Foundation too.
Yeah, right? I love the Beasley Foundation. Once again, I am one of their top Facebook people.
You're a super fan.
I'm a super fan.
That's right.
Of the Beasley. Yeah, the Beasley. And I will say that's one of the things that I love about Murphysboro. But as you know, I've talked about, you could go bankrupt. There's so many great organizations that are around. But you really got to pick and choose, right?
You do
because. We're about to hit gala season. There wasn't gala season in Greater Atlanta, right?
Right.
So there's always a black tie affair
Anywhere you want to go.
Anywhere you want to go. And so
for whatever cause you want to support.
So we love the Beasley Foundation. We love their focus on supporting especially families who may be struggling financially. Taking care of an animal's tough. It's not cheap.
Especially if they have a special need.
Absolutely. And so the Beasley Foundation does a great job at that. And then Leila and I support the Oaklands mainly because, Dr. Manning was a ruling elder in this church. And so there's kind of a historical connection between this church and the Oaklands. And so we feel a responsibility to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, Rotary's obviously
love Rotary.
A give for you at home, I'm sure.
Yeah, my dad was a Rotarian. He always wanted me to be a Rotarian. I always thought I was too busy to be a Rotarian. But when I first got here, we had a member of the church who invited me to Rotary, then invited me again, and then basically told me I was joining. And 11 years later, I'm now president. But Rotary has been important for me because while I'm still, everybody knows I'm a Presbyterian minister, my connection with them is not through the church. It's through eating lunch with them every Tuesday and building those relationships. And I've always said I'm not a member of Rotary to gain members in the church. We've had a few people who've joined because of that relationship, but that's not
the ultimate.
That's
goal.
not why I do it.
Right.
I do it to make strong relationships. And then what's really exciting about Rotary now is the bridges that we're building with the Morning Club. And
the
Smyrna Club.
Yeah.
And that's and not that I don't love the Morning Club, which I do, but I see them every week too in the community. But you don't really interact with Smyrna unless you go to Smyrna.
Unless you go, right.
And so starting to build those relationships where members of the Smyrna Club actually know me and then when we do see each other in the community, there's a connection. So yeah, love Rotary.
And I mean Rotary, you guys have heard me talk enough about it, but any way that you can find to plug in to your community to give back
absolutely
is a great way. It doesn't have to be Rotary. It can be whatever. Pick something. Your heart will be full because you do it. Now, to get back to your Scottish heritage there, I've seen you in a kilt.
Yes.
And y'all have a little group here at the church, the Fiery Kilts, right?
Yes.
Tell me about the Fiery Kilts.
That was just the name. I think they named, so our Habitat for Humanity, when we did the Cooking to Build, we had to come up with a name, and they chose that name because I wear my kilt for certain worship services, and so that's what they did.
If you want to see John's legs,
absolutely,
come on down.
I love wearing my kilt. I love wear. I
have one too, so don't.
You need to be wearing it. Well, I mean, you got to be wearing it. But then I always get teased because everybody goes, "Well, Hinkle's not a Scottish name," which it's not. It's German, but it's on my maternal side.
Yeah,
it's all Scottish and a little bit of French. So that's where we get the kilt from. Yeah.
I mean, mine's not a Scottish kilt; it's an Irish kilt.
Yeah,
Scots aren't the only ones.
We're not the only ones.
And kilts.
The Irish play bagpipes too.
That's right.
Yeah.
And a lot of other weird instruments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, we've heard a little bit about your history. Tell us what you love to do. I mean, obviously, your faith is a huge part of your life, but it's not just a career.
Right.
What else do you do, though?
I love bad TV. I love binge watching Netflix. I mean, that's horrible, right? I love it though.
That's the day we live in. Though.
Yeah, it is. But I love good, well-written TV shows. I know that sounds silly, but I mean, I'm a huge fan of Breaking Bad.
Most people do.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like stuff that's well written. I used to be a big movie goer, but I actually think that the best stuff now is on TV.
TV, yeah.
And
I can see that.
Like we're watching The Crown season 3. It's fantastic.
Yes, yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. And I still go to the movies. I love Jacqueline Heights.
Yes, I do too.
But I will confess, some movies I need to go and see it on a big screen with super surround sound. Right. At some, I tell Leila, this has got to be a little bit different. But I don't want to. This is sad. I don't want to watch movies with anybody. So I go to movies like at 11 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So there's no one there because I want to be alone. I don't want to be distracted. And
it's that perfect experience.
It's that perfect experience. So I follow Auburn sports. So that's a big thing. I have a Peloton.
Okay.
Which that's my exercise. I'm really and I read. I love reading.
Awesome.
For a dyslexic, that's something
a challenge.
A challenge. But reading's I think reading expands our minds in ways that audiovisual can't.
Sure.
It's the written word that's so important.
It's that mental.
Yeah, it's a mental exercise, but
Right.
But to be able to use your imagination as you're reading the words off the page, I think is a lost art for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I try to tell my children, when you read a book and you create that mental image of the characters and the scenes and what's happening, and then let's just say that novel or story is made into a film, it's totally different.
Right. Well, and it's something you know that we share with you and your wife is we love to travel.
Yes.
And so I love history and reading about history, and to be able to travel throughout Europe. I've been to Normandy. I've to stand there
and
go.
It's on my bucket list. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just go, oh my gosh, this is where so many young boys died.
It's life moving.
Yeah,
It's gotta be.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so let's throw that on my list. I love traveling. I think traveling is essential to life.
Yeah, to grow and learn.
Yeah, and I wish I could travel more. In fact, I just read something today that don't quote me on this, but like 80% of all Germans have traveled to 8 or more countries. 60% of people from France have traveled to 8 or more countries, but only 30% of all people in the United States have actually left
the U.S.
U.S.
I mean, there's a lot to see here.
There's a lot
Granted.
to see, and you and I have talked about that too.
It is a great place to visit, but kind of the conversation that we've had in the past is I can much more easily see the United States when I'm older and not necessarily physically able to travel to Europe or wherever in the world. So go see those things. You broaden horizons hugely.
Absolutely.
And then you can see the rest of the United States. And I mean, we do travel the U.S. too.
And as you know, Leela and I have actually had people who we've met. We met somebody in Tallinn, Estonia. We were sitting in an open air cafe. They were from Italy, and somehow at the end of the conversation, I invited them to come and stay with us. Yeah. And they did. And so then it was a way for us then to share Middle Tennessee with them.
And I got to meet them last
Absolutely.
year at the barbecue festival.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So I think so. What's really important then is that interaction with humanity. And,
yes.
And when you interact with people outside your comfort zone, then you realize how much more you have in common with them than you don't.
Hey, Southern culture is, man, it's a thing of its own.
Yeah.
And people outside of the United States have a connotation of who and what Americans are. When they come to the South, I think it totally changes their connotation of America.
Yeah, I think it does. Of course, we laugh that every time we're in Europe, we say we're from Middle Tennessee, and of course they equate Nashville and then of course Jack Daniels.
Yes,
everybody knows Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
And we took the Italians to Jack Daniels. We've taken.
Yes.
A young man from Sweden stayed with us, and we took him down there. But I think you're right. I think what most people appreciate about the South is truly the Southern hospitality. But having said that, my wife and I just, in the fall, we were in New York. I was in Boston for a meeting, and at the end of October, I found everybody to be hospitable. Maybe a little bit different.
Yeah, I think that's just
but I think that's our Southern.
It's their pace of life.
It's their pace of life.
It's not that they're rude. It's just their pace of life.
No, that's right.
When you do bring people that their connotation of America is New York,
right,
D.C., Chicago,
right,
L.A., and you bring them to Nashville or Murfreesboro,
right,
or wherever, it's different.
It is different.
Sweet tea,
So the
long sunny days.
So
and,
the wife of the couple from Italy, she wanted fried chicken. I asked her, what do you want to eat? And she said, I want fried chicken. And she wanted to go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I said,
oh, no.
So we took them to Champy's. I didn't think they could handle intestinal-wise, not palate-wise, some of our other more soulful restaurants. But I thought Champy's, that would be okay. And they loved it.
My 9-year-old begs for Clearview
on
Saturdays to go get a chicken leg.
And I didn't want to throw Clearview under it, but I just didn't think they could handle Clearview.
That's okay.
I love Clearview, but Leela has banned me from going there. She says she wants my heart to be strong.
Yes. Well, you just have to sneak off every now and then with permission.
With permission.
With permission.
Yeah.
I'll go with you.
Yeah.
Or you can go with us.
Perfect.
So what else about John Hinkle that we need to know?
I think if someone asked me, what's the most important thing about who I am, I think it's where I am now. I loved, the life I've lived, but where I am now is in this community with these people, and to be able to appreciate what's around me. And I think that's, especially I'm 52, I figure I'm closer to my grave than my cradle.
You're a year cancer-free, right?
A year cancer-free. I'm a prostate cancer survivor. So I've probably spent less time worrying about my future and trying to spend more time just enjoying the day I have. Yeah. And that's a radical change for me, and I think it's a radical change for even people in this church in dealing with me, because to me that someone said, well, we have this problem, and I said, we really don't have a problem.
Right.
We have an opportunity maybe, but it's not really a problem. I'll tell you what a problem is. And to really kind of focus on first things first. And
that's awesome.
So that's kind of where I am right now. That's not, and of course you overheard my conversation with my administrative assistant. We're about to enter after the day, after Thanksgiving for the church, we go into Advent and getting ready for Christmas. And it's not that I don't have these little moments of anxiety or these issues that come up, but it is to say I've kind of put it in a perspective that I've come to appreciate.
It's not the end all.
No.
If something goes wrong.
No. And I remember a time and place where it was the end all, where there, I thought to myself, there's no way we're going to get through this crisis. And if the crisis should implode on me,
sure,
then what's going to happen to me? Well, I've just learned it's going to be okay.
Now, anything special you want to invite people to? Church, Rotary?
Yeah, well,
personal?
Yeah, if you don't have a church home, we'd love for you to come and see us during the season of Advent. Our Christmas concert. I've got my phone.
You can verify.
I can verify this. This is great.
And what days will you be wearing your kilt for the holiday season?
I will not. The
midnight mass or
the Oakland Christmas party, which is the 6th, December 6th. So December 8th, we will have our Christmas concert here at First Presbyterian Church, and that's at 6 p.m., and we would love to have you. We have just an amazing choir, a great director of music. She's out of Belmont, Jocelyn Fisher. She's a voice instructor. Valerie Raines is our organist. She's out of this world. But unlike other Christmas concerts, it's actually relaxed in the sense that it's not formal.
Sure.
We actually sing Christmas carols.
Nice.
Youth come and they lead us in Christmas carols, but there are some formal moments in that. But it's really
it's that time of season.
Yeah, I just tell Jocelyn, why are we so uptight during Advent? Let's have fun. And so for the past 11 years, we've had fun. And then on Christmas Eve night, our services, we have a traveler service at 12 noon. That's for families who never really get the opportunity to worship at night on Christmas Eve because they're going from one place to another. Then we have a family-friendly service. I say family-friendly. Children are encouraged to come. So it's really loud and kids are running around, but that's at 4 p.m. And then our formal Christmas night service is at 6 p.m., which is candlelight and communion. You mentioned.
I said midnight mass.
Yeah,
I tipped my hat that I'm a Catholic.
Which is funny because I grew up going to the 11 o'clock night service, and then of course that led into midnight. But there was an article recently that those are disappearing.
They are, yeah.
Which is amazing. I mean, it
was tradition for my family.
Yeah, absolutely. Mine too, and which I always thought was painful as a child, right? I mean,
all you want to do is go home,
just
get
go
to bed,
home,
so
to
you
bed.
can wake up and Santa be
Hope
there
your
the
mom
next day.
gave you some, cough medicine because she thought you had a little cough, and that got you to go to sleep a whole lot quicker.
A little Robitussin.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that
Murphy said, "Put some tussin on it."
It's
Saturday Night Live.
So, but that's us. So we would love to have you. Go to our church's website, which is inborofpc.org.
Rotary Pancake Breakfast, Saturday,
December
7th.
Right.
Middle Tennessee Christian School.
Yes.
Tickets are $5.
$5, can't beat that. And all the proceeds go to our Rotary Foundation, which leaves the foundation almost the minute it goes into the bank account that we help endow and support local
If you want
nonprofits.
to be a sponsor, you still have time.
Still have time.
Call one of us.
Absolutely. We'd love to.
We'll get you hooked up.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want a ticket, I got plenty of those. Free. My gift to you.
Yes, just come out and
We'll
see
make
that.
it happen. We'll make it happen.
What about Beasley Foundation or anything else you're involved with? Having something?
I was thinking about the only thing that with Beasley is that they have a holiday schedule, so be sure to check
it out.
Check that out. Beasley's next biggest thing that I'm aware of is Pearls and Paws.
Okay.
Which is kind of, again, in the gala season. Of course, the Oaklands have their Christmas party the 7th, and the Tour of Homes is on the 8th.
Right.
And so that's happening too. And the lighting of the Christmas tree, the parade. Yes. There's just so much happening in the downtown area. And then Shop Local is
November 30th.
November 30th.
So get out and support your local businesses. If you want to pick up BizBucks, just go to any Wilson Bank and Trust location. That's a free $5. You can get one per person per day, and it's good at all of those participating vendors downtown on Small Business Saturday.
Done.
That's a no-brainer.
No-brainer. So what is it? For every $100 you spend locally, do you know that little statistic they always run?
I don't have the exact numbers, and I can't total recall it. But it's
Let's just
a
make
drastic difference.
It's a drastic difference.
From spending $100 at Walmart and spending $100 at any downtown.
Someone wrote something. So they're writing something?
Jonathan.
Look, it's just...
He's watching. He's saying, "Hey guys." So I mean, there's a vast.
Jonathan, can we officially announce this? Jonathan's under the weather, and I thought it would have been really good if we just crawled in bed with him and do the show in his bed. He just lives down the street, and I thought this would be good. Well, we hate you missed it too, and maybe we will have the bedroom chat one day.
You say that and laugh, but I actually had a client that was feeling under the weather once and needed to do something.
Yeah.
And I called her and I said, "Well, I know you're in bed in your PJs. I'll put my PJs on.
Come do it.
Bring my laptop, and we'll take care of it."
Absolutely. I do. Speaking of that, I do have my own show.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I
you
just
do
want to
need promote that.
So my Twitter handle, it's a Periscope show, is Dalton Boy 1986. That's when I graduated from high school, Dalton High, home of the Catamounts. And it's on Periscope. That's my Periscope handle, Dalton Boy 1986, and it's called 3 Things I Know. It's stupid. It's the dumbest thing you'll ever watch. And TMI, too much information. That's the only handle I know. LOL and TMI. So at 7 o'clock, most mornings, Monday through Wednesday, we have a replay show on Thursday and Friday. It's at 7:30. And it's,
Hey, 3 things that this guy knows.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
But it's pretty good. I'd highly recommend it. I was on sabbatical 2 years ago, and we were doing a tour of the Alps, and we kind of hooked up with all these Australians who in their minds think they're Southerners and really probably are.
Right.
I mean, they really, there was no difference other than our accent. And so there was a guy who was a former Australian military, retired, And I remember Russell asked me, he said, so let me get this right. You have a TV show that no one watches. And you have a guest host while you're gone. And I said, yes, that's about right. So I do have a guest host when for some reason I can't do it. I do have a guest host who does it.
Awesome.
Rob probably does a better job at the show than I do.
Nah, I need to watch it.
It's good. It's 3 things I know. There you go.
So,
yeah. Jonathan,
John
feel
Hinkle.
better, buddy.
John, thank you very much
Yeah,
for
I've
being
enjoyed
our
it.
guest today.
Yeah.
Thanks for being my friend.
Absolutely. And I want to be here for the 100th celebration of the 100th show.
The 100th show, yes.
Yes.
Hey,
I think, Jonathan, you should just have invite everybody who's been on the show to come, and you need to cater it,
Hey, that's a great idea,
get
too.
food, and we'll just watch the show live. I think that'd be great.
We have a studio audience.
Studio audience. We need to make this happen.
Yeah.
That's
a plan.
He's taking the Robitussin.
I'll make that happen.
There you go. All right.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.
Happy
Enjoy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. And we'll see you next week. Bye.